you the Morning Watch with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, exploring practical solutions that ensure our children live to be productive adults. And in the second watch, the possibilities of a healthier mental environment for our youth. For our social media question, we ask, what are we not doing to help keep our children safe and secure? That question again, what are we not doing to help keep our children safe and secure? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote, "If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time." Zig Ziglar.
Okay. Good morning, Dr. Blair.
Good morning. You can't get away from that, eh?
No. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. Speaking about aiming, have you made any New Year resolutions?
I try to make new day resolutions.
Yes.
But
so I gather you have made for this day already.
But for the new year, I'm trying my best to stay away from sugar.
Yeah? That drug.
It's a drug.
That drug.
I'm really
that
trying.
Sweet drug.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, what I do with New Year resolutions, I just stick to the scriptures. Whatever you do in word or deed,
do
all. I think it covers everything.
That's a new day resolution. Every day.
That's true. That's true. The first watch will be back after this break.
You're tuned to Love 101, and the Morning Watch is brought to you by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, proving opportunity, stability, and social protection.
I've been hearing about this constitutional reform thing. You know anything about it?
Yes, constitutional reform is a chance for us to Jamaicanize the constitution.
But how?
Enough things changed since 1962, and we have matured as a nation. So modernizing the constitution will reflect our current societal values.
Oh, a constitution for Jamaicans, approved by Jamaicans.
Are you ready for the journey? Join us on the road to Republic. Think independence, think Republic. A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 to 5, January 10, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for the brain testing mental science at 1:45. Prayer Blast will come your way at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Ryan Mark as our worship artist of the day. At 3 p.m., we bring you the Hot Topic Year in Review. Join us for the fun and stay for the entertainment. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, January 10, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101.
We work to feel the soul.
Welcome to Deeper Life School of Evangelism, where you study to show yourself approved unto God. Registration is in progress for new semester. No age limit, no CXC required. Attend classes once per week or twice per month. Discover your spiritual gifts. Deeper Life School is in Montego Bay, Mandeville, Mapen, Ocherous, and Kingston. Call to register at 923-1040 or 829-9798. Deeper Life is your ideal Bible training school.
I am a man, yes.
It's a new year with new vibes on the next mailbox. We will kick off our first episode in 2024 with the theme Man of Purpose, featuring Rondell Positive, musician, father, and husband extraordinaire. Get ready for a year of inspiration, positive energy, empowerment, and awesome encounters. Join us on Wednesday, January 10 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, the mailbox. Monday.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, last year, we saw some of the worst atrocities meted out against our children. 12 months of horror for relatives, friends, and a nation. How is it that this lack of care and protection occurred? And what should or can we do about it? Well, to answer these and other questions, we have online so far Inspector Florine Clark of the JCF. Good morning to you, Inspector Clark.
Good morning to you also, and thanks for having the Soca online.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure, I'm hearing you clearly.
Yes. Good morning to you, Inspector Clark. And you are representing Sissoka?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thanks for joining us this morning. All the best for the new year.
Thank you, and the same to you and team.
Yeah, we hope to be joined by Mrs. Betty Ann Blaine shortly. In the interim, Mrs. Clark, can you give us an idea of the statistics for, say, 2023 in terms of the killing of children in Jamaica?
Okay, so I want for you to note that our focus is on sexual offenses and child abuse. And so I should be able to zero in on statistics for 2022. 2023 information is not yet available, but certainly you'll get that at another time. So if you may allow me, I can share with you that for the year 2022, the offense sexual intercourse with a person under 16, we had 285 reports versus that of 268 for 2021. Of that 285, we cleared 120. No, I want for you to understand that when it comes on to sexual intercourse with a person under 16, it's the most prevalent reported offense at the sofa when it comes on to our children.
Yes.
In addition to that, we have another, which is sexual touching. And we had for 2022 38 reports, 23 of which was cleared, versus 30 in 2021, 23 of which was cleared. Now, of course, you know that we are guided by the Sexual Offences Act of 2009 in terms of our action of police officers to investigate these matters. And so it is important that even in sharing this report that the public understand the importance of having knowledge of these offenses, hence I shared the information. Another also is cruelty to child. We had for the year 2022, 24 reports.
Yes.
Sorry, 13 reports rather, versus 9 in 2021.
Yes.
And we cleared 9 of that 13 in 2022.
When you say cleared, Inspector, what do you mean really?
Okay then, meaning that the police was able to effect an arrest in these matters, or for the in the situation of sexual intercourse with a person under 16, where we have child offenders. Some of these matters may have been placed on the diversion committee at the Ministry of Justice for them to do their intervention. And of course, you know that the Diversion Act, and I'm sharing because I know everybody may not know, allows for our children who have committed themselves to be given a second chance. So this diverts them away from the court system into the provision that is made by the Diversion Committee for them to be mentored and to assist them in changing their behavior and accepting what is the socially acceptable norm in the society for them to behave.
Yeah. Mrs. Betty Ann Blaine, I gather you are with us now. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, we have online Inspector Florine Clark of the Sisoka as well.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Blaine.
Yeah. Now, Mrs. Blaine, according to a recent newspaper report, you repeated your call for the Prime Minister to order a national child audit. What did you mean by that, and why the request again?
Okay. Well, let me first of all just say Happy New Year to my fellow Jamaicans.
Yes.
And in particular to our children. Hope this year will be a better year. In fact, we have declared, Hear the Children's Cry has declared 2024 the year for our children. So we've made that declaration, and we are asking every entity in Jamaica, private or public, and we're inviting the public to let us agree that 2024 will be a better year, the year for our children.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Yes, before you respond,
call for a national youth, child and youth audit. I've been calling for that.
Yeah, Mrs.
For
Blaine.
some time now.
Mrs. Blaine, can you hear me?
And really, look, you can't solve a problem if you don't know exactly what the problem is. That's the point I'm making. You have to know precisely what the problem is. And so we're going to have to dig deeper to find out about our children. We know how many children we have in the population of children, close to 1 million, probably over 700,000 children in Jamaica. But we don't know a lot of the details about these children. Where are they? Where do they live? Who do they live with? Do they live with mother, father, common law, husband? Who do they live with? What are their circumstances? Are they in school? Are they out of school? Are they of school age? What are the living conditions? How many children are sharing one bed, for example? These kinds, the kind of data that will help us to solve the problem. We must first of all know what's happening with the children. We know that the poorest Jamaican children live in rural Jamaica, and this is why, in particular, we need to do that child and youth audit in the rural parishes, but across the country. When we know what the problem is, then we can begin to pinpoint what the solutions are and what the solutions can be.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Blaine. Inspector Clark, still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Well, I begin with you in terms of this question. From your individual perspective, what accounts, though, for the seeming increase in reported incidents of homicide among children?
Okay, I will respond from a personal perspective of you as you asked, because please bear in mind that that's not our specialization here. However, as a Jamaican, we need to understand that we have a responsibility to care and protect our children. And so many times we find that even from the general policing perspective, and I'm zeroing on now, the matter of domestic violence, you find that our children are a part of families that are affected by these situations and oftentimes become victims. I will also speak on gang violence. Our children are often recruited in gangs and end up being victims, or become victims because they're a part of these communities that are affected by crime and violence. Those are two areas that we can really look on that is seriously affecting Jamaica and our children who are oftentimes being murdered. And as I speak, what comes to mind also is the matter of the missing person reports that we do get from time to time, where our children, I remember we had a case, I believe it was could have been in 2019, where the young lady from St. Thomas was abducted and sexually molested and murdered, right? There was also one in Upper St. Andrew. And so those are some situations that is really affecting Jamaica and amounts to we losing our children to crime and violence. However, I must remind us that whilst the government has a responsibility in terms of policy, every Jamaican has a role to play, and it begins also with our parents, right? Parents needs to understand that they have a role to play in protecting their children. It goes right back to leaving from parent to the statement. We know a cliche that states that even the village has a role to play in rearing our children. And it's time that we stop playing a blind eye to things that's happening around us. For example, because the child next door isn't my child, I don't care about what is happening to him or her. So I see, and that's not my business. Parents also need to remember the importance of sending their children to church, because it is there to guide moral swage and to help the child to understand right from wrong.
And the parents going to church as well.
Precisely. And I'll zero in on a little bit closer to home, where the parents need to understand that children needs to communicate with the police, to understand that the police is a friend and not the enemy. Oftentimes when we are interacting with our children, even from the station level, there are times when you may go to a school to do a school lecture and you find the little ones running away from you. They're afraid of the police. Why? Because instead of the parents sharing that if you're in trouble, go to the police station, they're going to tell the children that, listen, the police is going to arrest and charge you, even when the child has not committed themselves. Yeah, or himself rather. So there's a lot out there for us to really zero in on, as Miss Blaine spoke about, in terms of protecting our children. And
Right.
it is not just the police responsibility, it's not just the parent, it's a community approach as well.
Collaborative
And,
effort.
and
Yes,
Inspector,
Mrs. Blaine.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Inspector, I really want to thank you for that,
Mm-hmm.
because all of us, we have to play a role. What you're referring to, Inspector, many of these things that have to do with like domestic violence and children getting involved in gangs. We have a family life crisis in Jamaica. And Inspector, I'm so happy you talk about the church, because yes, it is important that we send our children to church and parents go with them as well. But let me go on to say this. We're going to have to take a very sober look at the child population in Jamaica and to see how we can fix the bigger problem, which is these two Jamaicas in which we live. Child poverty is very real. I believe something close to 40% of our children live in poverty in Jamaica. And we live in two Jamaicas as far as children are concerned. Children who go missing, and we've been doing this work for over 17 years with missing children. Almost 100% of those cases are children of the poor and working classes. When you look at the child monument downtown Kingston, those names on that monument, almost 100% are children of the poor and working classes. So we're going to have to find a way to bring all of our children, on the same page, bring all of them into the mainstream of Jamaican society. And what I mean by that is that they have the same opportunities as middle and upper class children in our country. They live in communities where they don't have green spaces. They don't have, one of the things I'd love to see the Prime Minister introduce as he talks about this issue of violence is a national after-school program where we know that the children of school age are more or less safe when they go to school during the day, but when they come home at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever, they need safe spaces. They need to be supervised. And if we could introduce a national after-school program where they will come, I know some NGOs do it, but they will come, get homework, do homework, get a meal, get something to eat, and we know they're safe. That's one of the solutions. The children of the poor and working classes, don't have the opportunities that children of the other social classes have. They don't have people picking them up in motor vehicles after school, typically. They don't have recreational extracurricular activities. They don't go abroad for vacations. They don't join libraries. They don't have books in their homes. All of these things are serious deficits. All of it, we need an egalitarian society where all of our children will be treated equally and fairly.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm wondering though, when we hear some of the brutal murders which took place last year or the year before in terms of our children, the slitting of the throat and all of that. Can you tell us what you think is happening though? I mean, why are people become so violent toward children?
Well, that's a very, very good question, because we never used to harm children like that. In fact, we never used to harm women and children. And we've noticed how the violence has gotten more savage, more brutal for women and for children. And again, we're going to have to do the research. Look, a lot of these people who have been convicted of crimes against children are incarcerated. They're in our prisons, many of them. And so we have the opportunity to do the research, to find out who are these people, what it is that drives this kind of brutality, this kind of savagery towards children, So we have the opportunities to get the information, and we should bring maybe our students from UE or UTEC to begin doing that kind of research.
And as you mentioned that, I also throw the question to Inspector. We are now having where women are the perpetrators as well. Reports of women who were involved in or, allegedly, actually committed the acts, these gruesome acts against children. That needs a lot of research. What's going on, Inspector? Any idea?
No, I really can't share, and it's good for us as professionals to speak from a standpoint where you have data. So I'm unable to really say to you that this is it. Besides the fact that we do know that, and Miss Blaine shared it a while ago, that in Jamaica we find that at times women tend to compromise because they are poor. They're affected by this situation where they are unable to provide at times for themselves and their families, and so they end up finding themselves in the wrong situation or not even being able to identify what is right anymore. But rightly speaking, it is only from doing a proper research that we'll be able to come up with these answers.
Yes. And I'm hearing about the poor. I think both of you have been mentioning that. Are we not at risk of using poverty as an excuse?
Well, not at all. It's a real thing. The point is that it's very rare, as I said before. Look, people will say to me, Miss Blaine, well, we can't fix poverty. It's an age old. Jamaicans have been poor, many of them, for
And Jesus
centuries.
said, the poor you'll have with you always.
Right, and exactly. However, it's real, and we need to look at that. The question is, how do we create a gentler, kinder, more egalitarian society for our children? Come on. It can't be that all of those names on the monument, and the monument has run out of space for the last several years, of children who have died brutally in our country. It can't be that that's just children from one social class in Jamaica. How do we accept that? So it's real. It's not a figment of our imagination. We're not overdoing it. It's time we fix this problem. Why can't we fix it? We can. And I believe we should put, as Jamaicans say, hearts and hands together and tackle the problem.
Yeah. I'm thinking, though, that the problem, as you mentioned, both of you, is more systemic in terms of the family. What takes place basically in the home, regardless of one's income level or status in society, whether poor or rich. What is taking place in the home,
Well, let me just say this. That's precisely what I'm talking about when I talk about child poverty. Yeah. We've had children who have gone missing, have left home because of these physical conditions in the home, because of poverty. There was one little boy, he was 14. He went missing for several months. And when we got a hold of him and we spoke to him, he said, Miss, I was so tired to see my mother cry because we're hungry. We don't have none to eat. So I decided to go join a gang, a group, because we all cook together and eat together. And I was able to get something to eat. We visit a lot of these homes.
Yeah.
Who is visiting these homes?
Yeah, Mrs. Blaine, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're totally out of time. All right.
Oh,
yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, our half hour is up on the issue. I want to thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. Interesting, informative discussion. And we continue to do what we can in our own sphere of things, our corner, whatever we can do to make the country. Thanks again, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you so much. And remember to make 2024 the year for our children.
There we go. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jan Bank is
7:30 a.m.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic. Well then, let's propel we nation moving forward in a new direction. True independence, that's the projection. No more dependency, it's the best plan. Yes, we know what's best for us, cause we want the country prosperous. So make we just pull together as the general public while on the road to republic. Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic.
A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
We on the road to republic.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. So let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Gleaner. We're being stonewalled. A Kompong town Maroon chief frustrated over lack of communication from government. Also in the Gleaner, grand cost for gala. Economist, cultural studies expert deem $404 million expenditure. Interesting. In the Observer, Meta to hide posts about suicide, eating disorders from teens, Instagram and Facebook feeds. Yeah, high time. And then in the Observer, the car lift up like a plane. Eyewitness recounts Negril Bridge crash. And then in Loop News, concerns raised about farm workers running off in Canada. And Australia recall Cameron Green for the test series against the West Indies. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What are we not doing to help keep our children safe and secure? What are we not doing to help keep our children safe and secure? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 to 5 January 10, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for the brain testing mental science at 1:45. Prayer Blast will come your way at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. TV's our worship artist of the day. At 3 p.m., we bring you the hot topic year in review. Join us for the fun and stay for the entertainment. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, January 10, with yours truly, Sarah and the Trophy One, on the family station, Love 101.
I am a man, yes.
It's a new year with new vibes on the next mailbox. We will kick off our first episode in 2024 with the theme Man of Purpose, featuring Rondell Positive, musician, father, and husband extraordinaire. Get ready for a year of inspiration, positive energy, empowerment, and awesome encounters. Join us on Wednesday, January 10th at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, the Mailbox. Monday.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And as we segue into the second watch, we note that a campaign to ultimately empower families to effectively recognize and address mental health challenges in their children has been launched. And why not? Specialists reportedly estimate that 20% of Jamaican children have a mental disorder, and the 5% have serious mental disorders. Today, with all this talk and concern about good mental health, it is arguably a timely initiative. And to discuss these matters, we have joining us in this, the second watch, Dr. Judith Leiber, Director of Child and Adolescent Mental Health in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and Mrs. Najika Barnes of hashtag Your Mind Matters, Chief Project Lead, plus many other things. Good morning to you, both ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Best wishes for 2024.
Thank you. The very same to you.
Thank you. Same to you as well.
Yes, I begin with you, Mrs. Barnes. Can you tell us more about this hashtag Your Mind Matters campaign? Why the campaign? Why such a label? And what are the primary objectives?
Thank you. So the hashtag Your Mind Matters campaign came about to address the need to create awareness among our mental health awareness among our youth in Jamaica. And as a Chevening alumni, we sought to undertake this project, and we recognize the issues that our young people are facing, and we thought to ourselves, what is better, than undertaking an initiative that is going to create an opportunity for our youth and their parents and guardians to receive the support that they need. And when you think about the topic that we're speaking about today, it is so critical, because when you're creating a mentally healthy society, you're ensuring that you're building the emotional resilience and coping skills that our young people need. So the hashtag Your Mind Matters campaign came about because, young people, when you think about hashtag, you're thinking about, sharing a message that is easily transferred on social media, and that's where you find them. They're popularly on social media. So we wanted something that will create a buzz and attract young people. And the Your Mind Matters, if you look at the logo, it has a brain with a heart. We are basically saying to them, your mind is the core of your being, of who you are, and that is most important for us to cater to. So the conference is going to be held the 20th of January at the Jamaica Conference Center, and we're going to be providing sensitization training for our youth and their parents and guardians in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Education and Youth.
Okay. Mouthful there, Dr. Leiber. As was stated earlier, specialists have reportedly estimated that 20% of Jamaican children have a mental disorder. Now, how is mental disorder and such estimates really determined?
Well, they're determined by surveys. So there are periodic surveys like Healthy Lifestyle Survey, that and they'll ask questions of youth, and because the surveys are ensured to be random, we assume that we're getting a good sample. Okay.
Yes.
And also
so polling is done. Polling is done, for example, or is it that they are interviewed I mean, who is
No,
it?
the Healthy Lifestyle Survey, right?
Yeah.
It's interviews done around the island. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Then polling is done, and that occurred with You Matter chat line. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, heard
It is
about it.
it's a social messaging platform that UNICEF sponsors and in collaboration with us. And it has the ability, one, to do polls, and two, to issue messages, like productive messages via a bot.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a poll. Well, two things. Whenever they do a poll and it has to do with mental health or young people, and it's targeting young people up to age 29, they get the most responses. And once they did a poll and they got about 40 to 50% of the respondents saying that they had thought of suicide, sometime in the past few months. So those kind of, that's not a representative poll, but it really is
Gives you an idea.
an indicator, right?
Yeah. What's the age range in Dr. Leiber that is normally polled or interviewed in that study?
No, well, in the You Matter, it's from like 14 to 29, right? So that's the poll. And you have to sign up onto the platform, like WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, the people who are interested in these things will sign up. So there's almost a self-selection issue there. But it still indicates that. And in 2013, it's a little bit dated. We had done some research on attempted suicide, the ones who presented to hospitals, and we found that the main age group was really in the early 20s, let's say. Yeah. So we kind of put all of those data together.
Yeah. So the 20% finding, how does that square and compare with other countries in the region, Caribbean, for example? Do you know?
Okay. Yes. Well, it squares and compares worldwide. Because
you're gone worldwide with it. Okay.
Yes, worldwide there is 20% as the liberal.
Are we that bad? Are we? Is this alarming? This 20%?
Yes, it is alarming. So you have 20% as the liberal estimate, and then some people cite 10%, and then there have been studies mainly engineered by UNICEF, PAHO, that look at the Latin American and Caribbean countries. And it's yes, in the same ballpark region, 15% to 20%.
Okay. Dr. Leiber, Miss Barnes, you're up on a break. We'll be right back.
They're full of life. You're full of love. They're carefree. You care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We are the right to republic. Well then, let's propel we nation moving forward in a new direction. True independence, that's the projection. No more dependency, it's the best plan. Yes, we know what's best for us, cause we want the country prosperous. So make we just pull together as the general public while on the road to Republic. Jamaica. Let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one Republic. We on the road to Republic.
A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
We on the road to Republic.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. In this, the second watch, we have been discussing the possibilities of a healthier mental environment for our youth. And in so doing, we have online Ms. Najika Barnes, and she is the Chief Project Lead of hashtag Your Mind Matters, and Dr. Judith Leiber, Director of Child and Adolescent Mental Health in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
Great. Now, Ms. Barnes, what really is the modus operandi of this campaign? Indeed, how will you get parents, guardians, adolescents to be involved in this initiative? Can you walk us through?
Sure. So we recognize the importance of partnership, which is going to help us to drive this national initiative that we're undertaking, and hence in our partnership with the two major ministries. So the Ministry of Education and Youth is going to be very crucial in helping us to select the schools and students and their parents and guardians to participate in the conference. So through the Ministry of Education, they are going to be selecting the schools which are most vulnerable, which are facing the most challenges, and they would understand through their interactions with these students who are the students who need the most support. Not that all the students don't, but we are seeking, targeting a certain number of students, and we want their parents to be on board, because we don't want the students to just receive the training sensitization. They go home to parents who are not trained and who don't understand the psychological problems that they're facing. So the guardians and students are going to be selected by the Ministry of Education as well to attend the conference, so that they too can receive the necessary training and sensitization and awareness that they need.
So, what will take place when they meet? I mean, give us an idea of the sessions themselves.
Certainly.
I mean, it's not a talk shop, I'm hoping.
No. It's going to be an engaging conference, a practical conference. So they're going to leave empowered and aware and understand what do they need to implement. So the conference is going to be twofold. We're going to have psychologists partnering with us from the Jamaica Psychological Society, and we're going to have our mental health practitioners, including Dr. Leiber here with us, who will be leading the training sessions with the parents. So we're going to have several breakout rooms to facilitate engagement and to facilitate a safe space of sharing. So the parents are going to be separated from their children, because a tailored interaction is going to be designed for the parents, where the mental health practitioners are going to speak about what are some of the issues that your children are facing, and how do parents form a critical component of support for their children? How do you identify when your child is facing some sort of dysfunction, and how can you create a more constructive approach for supporting your child? In the breakout rooms for the children are going to be taught, how do I, introspect and understand when something is wrong with me? How can I cope practically? And how do I seek help from the resources around me? And this is going to be taken from curriculum design, mental health curriculum designed by the Ministry of Education and Youth, of longevity and sustainability of the program.
Sounds good. Dr. Leiber, how does this campaign align, though, with the aims and objectives of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, would you say?
It aligns very well, Dr. Toussaint, because our main pillars are really one, decreasing stigma.
Yeah.
So if we're able to decrease stigma and raise awareness, then we'll have more parents, more children being, aware of what's happening and then seeking help. All right. The other we've introduced the school mental health literacy curriculum throughout the high schools, and this will reinforce it. And as Najika says, this will make it more sustainable. Najika omitted to say they're going to be an online uh, session as
Present.
well, which is
Yeah.
concurrent with what's happening on the ground. So by so doing, we are reaching more and more children.
Yes.
It's aligning very well with what we hope to accomplish for child and adolescent mental health.
Yes. I don't know if Miss Barnes want to say more about that online stuff. I mean, can just persons just log on? I mean, to be a part of the session. So
So, good online. Thank you for adding that, Dr. Leiber. It's
Mhm.
going to be streamed online concurrently, as Dr. Leiber mentioned earlier, because we understand that given the constraints, not everyone will be able to attend in-house because of the various schools that we're specifically targeting. So for the online sessions, we're going to be speaking about topical issues that affect and impact our parents and the youth. So in our first breakout session, we're going to such as how do young people cope with failure? How do they cope with the pressure of social media and its influences? And that is going to be facilitated by our children themselves speaking about some of the issues. And we're also going to have a mental health specialist, supporting that session.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be speaking about the role of parents and some of the
Yeah.
challenges that parents face as well. It's going to be streamed on our hashtag Your Mind Matters YouTube channel. So
Okay.
we're going to be sharing the link widely among our schools and also on our social media platforms so that persons, parents, students, the general public, teachers, supporters are able to connect on that platform.
Still with you, Miss Barnes. How will all of this be measured in terms of success or failure after these sessions have taken place?
Sure. So, in terms of measurement, because from a monitoring and evaluation perspective, because we're targeting particular schools that are most vulnerable, we
Mm.
would be doing some prior assessment through the guidance councils of the schools to understand the issues that these students and the post the conference, we're going to be following up with the students to assess how did this awareness, how did this engagement help them to better they're facing. And because we're using curriculum designed by the ministries, it helps us to promote sustainability of the program.
Will there be a follow-up sessions, for example? Would these persons be called, met? Will there be evaluation done in a practical level?
Yeah. That is why the guidance counselors and the key persons from each school will be attending because they will be the primary liaison, first routine education officer of Region 1,
Mm-hmm.
which is the zone that we're targeting. So based on the structure that we have in place, we wanted to ensure that it's not just a talk shop for a day. That is why we were so strategic about partnering with the ministries to ensure that we're using design and establish assess curriculum to facilitate the program.
Yeah. Ladies, what's your response to those who may argue that the greater concern should be the spiritual aspect of the lives of parents, guardians, and children, and not the mental aspect? Beginning with you, Dr. Leiber, how do you respond to that?
My response to that is that at the Ministry of Health, I don't know if you noticed, we've added wellness, Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Right.
And we're on a kind of slightly different path where we describe what we call mental wellness. And that includes social health, spiritual health, physical health, and mental health. So we recognize the importance of spiritual health. No two ways about it, but we are proposing a more holistic view of wellness. And we're trying to kind of get away from using health, because health always conjures up an image of disease. Whereas wellness
Illness.
is, yes,
Yes,
right,
yes,
correct. Yes.
yes. Miss Barnes, how do you respond to that? Well, you need to focus more on the spiritual aspects, prayer and
Um,
fasting.
well, just to support what Dr. Liba said, when you're thinking about mental health, generally you cannot disconnect yourself as an individual to say that you're spiritually well, but and that will equate you being mentally well. Being mentally well, it is a holistic approach which also takes into consideration all components: your physical wellness, your overall well-being as a person. So your overall well-being is integral to your health, to your health.
Mm.
And a mentally healthy person is resilient. A mentally healthy person is whole, and that integrates and that includes your spiritual wellness as well. So you cannot disconnect and single out each component. All components come together to ensure that you're mentally well and your well-being is taken care of. So we cannot single them out. That is why it is important for us to understand that we're a whole being, and that is why mental health is so important, because you cannot go to the gym and work out and the definition does not break it down that way. You have to cater to your overall well-being, which also includes your spiritual wellness.
Yes, yes, yes. Well said, ladies. Persons are listening in Jamaica and across the world. Can you just remind us of the contact details for them to be a part of this conference? Is it January 20 at the conference center?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
So the conference is going to be held at the Jamaica Conference Center. You can follow us on Instagram, Your Mind Matters Jamaica, on Facebook,
And
and
what time does it start and end?
sure, it's going to begin at 8 a.m. and it ends 4:30 p.m. It's a very intensive all-day conference. It's going to be very engaging, very exciting, and we're seeking to cater to the well-being of our youth, and we want to ensure that their parents are forming a core part of the support. And we're also inviting additional partnership and support from Jamaica and the wider population to ensure that this conference, this initiative, within the long term, is as impactful as possible for young people. And we want to thank Dr. Laiba and her team, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education and Youth, and all our partners and sponsors, the British High Commission, the
Yeah.
Chevening alumni community who has been planning tirelessly, and all our supporters in making this initiative, an impactful one that we're looking forward to on the 20th of January.
All being well. So can I just walk to the conference like that? Just go and come to the 8
No,
a.m. conference? I mean, I have to
no.
register, pre-register what?
So because we're selecting, particular schools that we're going to be managing, we are inviting the public to our online platforms to
Right,
connect.
right.
Because as you spoke about measurement, we're working with those particular schools to ensure impact and sustainability. So extensively, the conference is going to be streamed online for the public, because this is also important for the public, because when we're thinking about our young people, it's a community support partnership that is going to make Jamaica a healthier society for our young people.
A fitting note on which to end. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. I think we know a lot more about this. What is it again? Hashtag Your Mind Matters campaign. All the best going forward.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you,
for
Dr.
having us.
Laiva.
Good.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay,
Toussaint.
good.
You're welcome. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-95967. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, hand you back to Love in the Morning this time around, because it's three persons were involved in this. In Love in the Morning, we had we had Joe Carl, we had Dr. Blair, and now Kathy Davis. Hand you over to Kathy Davis.
Thank you very much, Reverend Toussaint. Interesting topics on the Morning Watch this morning. Now, you are now invited to listen to the program Forward in Faith, brought to you by the New Testament Church of God,